The Pittsburgh Steelers are about to get two major boosts to their coaching staff this season. At least that's what it looks like. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah's Trackbind. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk or anywhere you get your podcasts. And today, we're talking about how the Pittsburgh Steelers are about to luck out, how they are about to get not one, but two coaching additions that they did not believe that they would have, that they did not believe they would have in 2023. One is on offense and one is on defense. I think one is becoming more realistic as we move along. One is becoming less realistic as we move along in different ways. Let's start on offense. Byron Leftwich's name has been thrown out there plenty of times. And at first it kind of felt like, I don't know. It feels like a good move, but maybe Byron Leftwich is going to get an offensive coordinator job somewhere. Why would the Steelers want to add a name like that? And then you start thinking about it, and then you let the waves drift and you see things settle and you look at it and go, it makes a lot of sense for both parties. The NFL is a very forgiving place. Once you take a year off, like Cliff Kingsbury's going to do in Thailand, he's dipping for a year. He's saying, hey, look, my stock is very low right now. Yeah, I'll go get an offensive coordinator somewhere. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to be a head coach in the NFL. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go take a year or so off, and then I'm going to come back. Works time and time again in the NFL. We see it all the time. We're seeing it currently with Brian Flores. You take a year off in the NFL, it works. So why would Byron Leftwich sit around and not do anything for a whole year? People expect him to go get an offensive coordinator job, and maybe he's going to go get an offensive coordinator job. But right now, it kind of feels like there are a lot of options out there, and a lot of teams are looking a lot of different directions. Nobody's looking at Brian Flores or Byron Leftwich, excuse me. Not right now. It just looks like he's a commodity with question marks, rode the Bruce Arians wave, rode the Tom Brady wave, got the most out of it, no doubt. Concerns about whether or not he could continue to ride that wave without them. Valued concerns. Very, very easy things to agree with and say, yeah, I don't know if I'm hiring him as an offensive coordinator either. And I think a lot of teams are looking at it the same way and saying, why would we hire Byron Leftwich and be concerned about an offensive coordinator when there are other names out there who seem more promising at the same position? That seems like the move, which brings the Steelers into play. Who says that the Steelers are looking to take that risk either? Nobody. And I don't think that they are. I don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting around thinking, man, we want a guy who may or may not be a good offensive coordinator to be on our coaching staff. Not in a prominent role, at least. But what they could do and what they're going to likely do is secure him for a Brian Flores type role. And that's why I keep almost saying Brian Flores instead of Byron Leftwich, because they're connected. I think you look at Leftwich and you look at the situation in Pittsburgh and you think, okay, the Steelers, they like to promote within. That's always been their objective. Mike Tomlin loves to go find the guy, have the guy know the defense, and then have the players feel good about the promotion instead of a bunch of question marks and you don't know what's going to happen, which happens all over the NFL. In Pittsburgh, you look at their latest examples, Matt Canada, Terrell Austin. You look at those two players or two coaches and you think, okay, both of those guys were brought here to do one specific thing, very quickly got promoted to a coordinator position, and here we are. I don't think the Steelers are as sold on Matt Canada as some believe. I think Art Rooney made that very clear, that they are worried about Kenny Pickett and his development, and because of that, they're not going to take a chance on another offensive coordinator. That makes sense, because taking a chance is a big question mark. Matt Canada is a question mark, but at least he's a question mark who knows your quarterback. If Matt Canada doesn't work out, what are you going to do? I think the Steelers want to have a backup plan before they even head into the 2023 season. Enter Byron Leftwich. We've talked about that before, but it's coming to light and it's starting to feel like we're getting closer and closer to that situation because the only thing holding us back and the only thing holding the Pittsburgh Steelers back is the fact that we don't know if a team is going to be interested in Leftwich as an offensive coordinator. Doesn't seem as the days pass that that's going to happen. On the other side, on the defensive side of the football, the Steelers are riding that wave in a positive direction in a negative outlook for a guy named Brian Flores. Weeks ago, and even entering the end of the season, you fully expected Brian Flores to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers and go somewhere else for a higher position. He had plenty of interviews: the Houston Texans, the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, the Arizona Cardinals. You saw all over the place that Brian Flores' name was being tossed out there because a year off of football added him back into the conversation as not just a defensive coordinator, but a head coach. And you thought that it was almost a guarantee that he was gone. But positions are being filled, and they're being filled quickly. And there are more interviews. At one point, roughly a week ago, Brian Flores was the running favorite for the Arizona Cardinals coaching job. Now that is not the case, and the team continues to hire or look all around the NFL and continues to interview people from all around the NFL. And Brian Flores is just sitting around waiting. It's been days since we've heard Brian Flores' name in a coaching carousel. Bad news for Flores. And I think at some point he does deserve to get a shot as a head coach once again. I think it should be this offseason. I think the Arizona Cardinals are a good fit for a guy who I think knows how to work young players and really get guys to hone in on their skills and give into a program. I don't know what happened in Miami, and I can't say what happened in Miami. What I could say is what happened in Pittsburgh is a lot of guys believe in Brian Flores and they see how good of a coach he is. And they understand that he can make them that much better. I think he could take that to another team, but I don't know if teams are going to do that this offseason. I think Brian Flores might have to wait another year. So what does he do in the meantime? Well, he sticks in Pittsburgh. And the Steelers somehow end up with two coaches, two Brian Flores-like coaches on both sides of the ball that certainly help their team. Maybe not a win for the coaches, at least not right now. But in the long term, you have to imagine that both of those guys have prominent spots in the league because of what they did, doing, or are going to do in Pittsburgh. And that feels okay. For the time being, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you could take full advantage of the opportunity, just like they did with Brian Flores and that hire, and do it again with Byron Leftwich. I think it's crazy, but I think somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to walk into this season with two guys who they believe can be very explosive young coaches in the NFL. I mean, it was a year ago that Byron Leftwich was being considered for the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job. Brian Flores is now being considered for multiple head coaching jobs. Both of them could end up on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster just coaching positions and being senior assistants. That's nuts. It's not a coaching tree for Mike Tomlin. It's the opposite. And I think that's even better. Yeah, young coaches are great when they go and leave, but why not go get two guys that have proven that they could win in the NFL and bring them in and allow them to help better your team? You saw what you did last season. You saw what the Pittsburgh Steelers did last season on defense when they were able to turn a league worst rushing defense into the 9th best rushing defense in football in one season. Yeah, Terrell Austin probably had a lot to do with that. Yeah, Carl Dunbar and Mike Tomlin and Jerry O probably had a lot to do with that. But Brian Flores has been credited with that time and time again by players and other coaches. So you see the impact. Why not do the same with Byron Leftwich? And I think the Steelers are getting dangerously close to doing so. And it's crazy to think that this season, yeah, people might be upset about the fact that Matt Canada is sticking around and the Steelers are being very cautious with their offensive coordinator plans. But they are on the verge of having two very, very good coaches and overall a very, very, very good coaching staff. All because the NFL isn't ready to give opportunities to these two coaches. And the Steelers are saying, hey, look it. You don't need an opportunity here. You just got to come in and work hard. That opportunity will come elsewhere. But for the meantime, Let's go build something great in Pittsburgh. And I think both of these guys are all for it.